Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I'm Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Stranger Things 2, Episode 4, Chapter 4. It's called Will the Wise. So, full spoilers for the episode, as always. Where do we begin? Okay, I think the first thing I want to talk about with Episode 4 is I want to make a formal apology to Nancy, because she actually had a much better plan and was much smarter than we thought she was.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
we're like, yeah, but they already listened to her over the phone. She's not very smart about this. She's been a
I
bit,
told I told you she seemed aware.
yeah, um,
I didn't
yeah,
realize she was quite that aware.
yeah. Then I questioned, like, yeah, but and obviously we were like, did she buy the phone? Was that what she bought at Radio Shack? Oh no. She bought a tape recorder.
Yes, and they were saving it for this.
Yes, their plan was to get caught all along. They sneaky little buggers. They're in the park. They get caught. They get captured.
I
And
will say I love the moment where they're looking at going, could be that guy, could be him, could be them, and then it's just all of them.
yeah, I really like that because I mean, admittedly, it makes more sense now we found out that we're kind of waiting for it. But I did kind of like the moment because that guy with the newspaper sort of goes like that and kind of talks to himself, and she notices and goes, "Hey, that guy just spoke to himself." And I'm like, "No one ever says that in movies. There's always people like, every time you have like a sting operation or something, or there's like, undercover cops. They're always
Mm.
like, yeah, nothing here." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's noticeable, dude. People can see that. Like, you look suspicious now."
Yeah,
So I was actually very glad that she noticed that and said, "Hey, that's suspicious," because it is. So,
it was. Yeah.
yeah. So Dr. Owens, Paul Reiser, he basically he comes in and talks to him after they've been detained for a little bit, and he just takes them. He's like, "Hey, I'm going to show you what's happening and why this needs to be kept a secret." And it all seems very friendly. Although when he actually gets them in the room and we see the guy with the flamethrower like taking care of the tentacles and the vines coming through,
Mm.
it does feel have this sort of subtext of yeah. So we have to be careful and destroy anything that will affect this secrecy. Do you get what I'm saying? As this guy's burning the vines with a flamethrower. It's like, yeah, we're being nice this time, but you do it again, we're going to set you on fire, or something similar.
Pretty much.
That was basically it. And you think, oh, this is very threatening, which it is. But then they get outside in the car, and it's like, ha ha ha, we get a tape recorder. Yeah, it's like, oh, the little devils. They had a
Yeah,
plan, and
it did.
it's actually them thinking outside the
And
box.
and I
So
like she says, he goes, oh, so what we're gonna do? And she says, well, we're gonna burn it down. I like that, given that
yeah,
they're burning down the vines.
yeah, they're going to burn down the entire lab.
Yeah,
I don't know if she means literally.
I hope she does.
uh, well, I don't. What will that do at the portal though to the upside down? That
I
could
think
have
we'll find out.
that could have some very negative effects for
It
well the
could.
entire
Yeah.
planet, perhaps depending. So, so that was that plot. It's
Mm.
called Will the Wise. We should talk about Will. Talk about what's going on with him because we ended the last episode with that cliffhanger
Yes.
of him having another episode, and this time the big monster like goes into his orifices, and Joy shows up at the school. The kids are all there. In fact, honestly, my first thought when they run outside to get Will and he's like standing there just sort of frozen as this thing's going inside him, is that man, Winona Ryder's like the same height as all these kids. She's tiny. Like
Yeah, you're not wrong.
it was basically like, oh man, like if it wasn't for the way she was dressed and like just her face, like I would like assume
And the
she was
fact
one
that
of the
you knew
kids.
who she was.
Yeah, oh, and the fact that I know who she is, but like she's the same height, like she just sort of blends in with all the
Yeah.
kids.
You need a wide shot where you can't tell who's who without the clothes.
Yeah, it's kind of it reminds me of in Alien they use like kids in the spacesuits to make the model sets look bigger to make it look even
Yeah,
bigger. I'm like. You don't even need like if she was an alien, and she's in the fourth one, funnily enough. But like if she's in the first alien, you wouldn't even need a kid. Just just use her.
pretty much. She is quite short.
Uh, but yeah, so she takes him home. She's obviously very stressed. When Jonathan's about to sneak off to go and do the plan with Nancy, like she's even sleeping in the same bed as him. She's ultra concerned.
Mm.
And he seems just kind of out of it, just kind of ill, just kind of like, I just kind of feel like I've not woken up. Until, of course, she tries to pour him a bath, and he's like, oh, it's too cold, it's too warm. And then he says the phrase, he likes it cold.
It was terrifying.
That was very terrifying. It was like, so it's not even like the thing's in control, because we were speculating maybe the thing would be in control of him come this episode. And instead, it's just kind of hitching a ride. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I'd still kind of possession in a way. It's still like inside of him in some ways.
Yeah, yeah. But Will's still kind of self-aware. He's still like kind of talking and stuff.
He still will, mostly.
He still has his own will.
Ugh, can't believe we just did that.
If you made that into a pun in your own head, that's on you. I was just talking in plain English.
Aye, prick.
He's upset because I made a really bad pun about House of Cards before the recording,
Yes, yes, he did. It
which
was
I
awful.
which I promised that I'm going to repeat on the news this end of this
Yes.
week.
So anyone wants to hear just how bad it is can go check out the news video this Friday. Shameless plug.
uh, so yeah, so Joyce is frantically calling Hopper, and who's not picking up. He's busy dealing with 11. We'll talk about that obviously, and she's concerned. And when Hopper eventually shows up, the house is like, the front door's wide open, and she's like, keep it open, and it's like really cold. It's like freezing in here, and like Will's walking around in like a pair of shorts. He's just like, that's all he's
Yeah.
wearing, and it's like, again, the whole idea likes it cold. Now Joyce earlier on spoke to him about the drawing she took off the TV. He's like, this is the thing. I think it might be real. It's not what the doctor's saying. And then when Hopper comes in, he's like, hey, let's talk about this. What does this feel like? He's like, oh, it just feels like evil, and I'm getting these like weird flashes, like they're like memories, but I think they're live. They're not, they're not actually from the past. They're happening right now. Uh, and it's like, well, you can't describe it, so draw it. And he starts just kind of scribbling away. So
Yeah.
Joyce notices the Will the Wise thing from his D&D drawing. He's like, just draw it, and he grabs his crayons and he's just kind of, he's going at it. And I actually called immediately because they look kind of just like scribbles on their own. I was like, I bet they
They
formed
connect.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you put them all together. And sure enough, they eventually have that realization, and Joyce and Hopper have like got them all over the living room floor. He's like pushed tables out of the way, and it just looks like a series of tentacles almost, right? But they all
Yeah.
kind of connect and branch, and they're kind of like, is it lightning? Because it all kind of has that, branching
Yeah, they
effect.
thought like a map or a maze, which is I thought was a reasonable guess.
Yeah, they're all good guesses, and he's like, but it's the other things he drew, they were red or green or whatever. This is blue. This is a different color. And then Hopper, it clicks. He's like, they're vines or they're roots,
Yeah, yeah.
and
So,
yeah, and he thinks about all the stuff that's been dying. He's like, oh dear, and he rushes out, and what he's thinking, because as soon as they say vines or roots, I'm like, okay, I'm thinking it as well.
yeah.
Uh, so he goes out with his shovel to start digging.
He digs a pretty big hole, doesn't he?
He digs a giant hole, and that's actually the end of the episode. Is he digs into the into one of the vines or the roots, and he jumps in. I didn't think he was going to jump in. I thought he was going to unclear it a little bit so you could see it properly and see the blue. And instead, you just see him jumping into what looks like a big tunnel, and he's just kind of like, oh crap. And I love that the camera is just tilting continuously throughout the whole thing,
Yeah, yeah. It does, makes him feel upside down, of course.
because he's in something from the upside down.
Very good.
Well, it's getting some dramatic flair. Let's talk about Dart and the kid plot that rather connects to it. Well, I mean, the Dart stuff itself is basically they want to find Dart because they think it's connected to Will, but we know that Dustin's got it at home. We see him at the start. He feeds it a little bit more nougat, which Dart seems to enjoy very much. I'm like, damn, that thing is going to be scary when you come home. And sure enough, he comes home at the end, and it's not in the case. And the poor cat, the family cat, has been eaten by the new like several foot long version of Dart. And
I like when he goes into the glass case and you can just see the skin. It's like, oh, it's shed its skin. It's like,
Yeah,
oh,
that's
it's
right,
definitely
yeah.
bigger. And then you just see it like that, and it's like, oh, that thing's terrifying now.
yeah, and it opens its face. It's very I don't know. It reminds me of something from another movie. I'm trying to think what it is.
I'll tell you the image it reminds me of. Poison ivy in Arkham Asylum.
Oh yeah, yeah. Her plant things. I can.
Yeah, it reminds me of those.
No, I think it's reminding me of all things. I think it's reminding the vampires from Blade 2.
I haven't seen Blade 2.
Because their
Never
face
cared.
kind of opens up and it's kind of like four flaps like
Right,
that.
okay.
I
I'm
think that's what
with
it's
you.
reminding me of. Maybe something from Silent Hill. I don't know. There's probably a few things with this kind of face or that mouth that,
Yeah. It's cool either way.
yeah. So that just we leave him there again in a sort of cliffhanger. So things are really ramping up. But the rest of the kids stuff, obviously, he's with the rest of the kids for a lot of the episode. And I genuinely was feeling bad for Max this episode because she was kind of involved. She was helping look for Dart, and then Mike's all like, "Oh, a private meeting in the AV room," and she's going to go with them, and he's like, "No, not you. This is just core members only. No debates." And they just go off and leave her, and she's really pissed. And they're like, I actually feel kind of pissed too, Mike. Like, I get why. I get you're not like ready to let her in the group, but she's clearly going to be. So let's
just get on with it.
Let's get on with it. But they all two feel bad, of course, and Lucas tries to talk to her, and she brings up Hell. It's like, oh, did Hell not get let into all this information? And obviously that's exactly what he's not allowed to talk about. So he kind of has to try and dance around it. But she's not having it. She's like, no, screw your team, screw your group. I'm having none of it.
You still stink, by the way.
And you still stink because he was in the trash. He was in the dumpster earlier on in the episode.
I like where he kind of sniffs and stuff. And he just goes, "Oh shit."
Yeah, he does. Actually, I liked the earlier scene when she says that originally. And she moves away from him. She moves over next to Dustin.
And Dustin's like, just like, "Hi, Max."
Hi, Max. And she's like, "Hi." So that stuff was fun. It was fun, and it was also kind of frustrating because we like Max, but it makes sense from a story point of view. I wasn't annoyed at it. I was kind of like, yeah, this makes sense. These beats make sense because it's going to be really satisfying when Mike accepts that she's actually part of the group because they need. She's basically the muscle. As weird as that sounds.
She is, yeah.
But she kind of is. And she goes into the car with her brother Billy, who is the worst. More on that in a bit, but
yeah, I'm more convinced than ever that it's the stepbrother because he says, "Oh, we're family now."
Yeah, which if I recall, that was me that said that.
Yeah, it was. I'm like, and I said, yeah, I was like, yeah, that makes perfect sense.
But you
didn't argue it.
You were rubbing in my face. Star Trek Discovery is something you got right. So you know what?
Yeah, but that was something you argued me on. I didn't argue on this.
And then he gets racist, which came out of almost nowhere. It was basically
although it's utterly unsurprising from this prick.
Oh yeah, it's unsurprising. Like, it doesn't surprise me that this asshole's racist, but he's basically like, oh, that kid you were talking to, who was that? It's like, oh no, just someone from class, just whatever. It's like, was there trouble? It's like, no, it's fine. And then when she tries to sort of like, that's fine, move on, he grabs her arm.
There's the moment there where he goes, oh, was there trouble? Which was actually okay to ask because she'd walked off in a mood and was like, she was unhappy.
It was clearly kind of an argument that she just had. Yeah, that was fine at that point. But then he grabs her arm and he's like, hey, I'm always telling you there's certain types of people in this world that you shouldn't trust or be around. That kid's one of them. And I'm like, whoa. We just went.
He never explicitly says it, but it's like, okay, that was racist as shit.
Yeah, that is just. I'm like, I mean, again, not surprised. He is the worst. I mean, earlier on, we have another basketball scene with Steve, and again, he like thumps him to the ground, and then they're in the shower, and you think he's kind of bonding with him a little bit in his weird douchebaggy way.
In after he knocks him to the ground, when he reaches out his hand to him, he kind of gives him a hint. He's like, look, spread your feet apart, you won't fall down as easily.
But he doesn't help him up because it's like he's going to help him up, and he just lets go. Yeah. So he's still douchebaggy.
He is, yeah, not obviously.
So. First of all, on the racism thing, I really hope Lucas gets a chance to just boot him in the balls or something later on in the season.
Oh yeah, just whack him one. That'll be satisfying.
Don't get me wrong, it'll be satisfying. I mean, I think Max maybe deserves it more.
Max is going to be the one,
because she has to put up with him all the time. But it would be immensely satisfying if he got to do it now, just based on the bullshit.
But he doesn't know that.
That's true. He doesn't know,
so he doesn't have that grudge.
Yeah, that is fair. But if he somehow inadvertently helps her in some way to like
that would be nice.
Mess with them, that would be good. But they're in the shower. And they're basically making fun of Steve's like, oh, your princess girlfriend, she's already off with that weirdo Jonathan. It's been like a day and a half and no one's seen them. Oh, well, I guess. And that's the other thing. He also says, oh, there's plenty of more bitches in the sea. That is the phrase he uses. So, I mean, again, not surprising, but like this episode just confirmed just how abundantly sexist.
The douchiest of douches.
Abundantly sexist, abundantly racist, and I mean, there's been no gay characters.
Pretty offensive as well.
Yeah, there's no gay characters yet, but I'm willing to bet money that he's blindly homophobic as well.
Yeah.
I'd put money on it, so...
Yeah.
Great. It's Billy. Hope you die.
Yeah. I want to call out the edit at one point here. It's the only time so far in the show where I thought it was a bit of a weird edit where they kind of missed the moment.
Oh, go on.
So he turns off the shower as Steve's doing the shampoo and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And after he walks off, Steve he gets really annoyed and he hits it back on. and then it cuts into, I think it's like a, one of the children's toys that, not the playground ones that you sit on it that swing back and forward.
Oh yeah, it's when Nancy and Jonathan are waiting in the park. There's a
Right.
very aggressive shot of this
There's a
duck.
duck. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a duck that's just sort of like, it's one of those things on the spring where they just rock on it back and forth.
Yeah.
I'm sure
But I
there's a name
thought,
for them, but I don't know what you
yeah,
call
I
them.
don't know what it is either. But I thought it was a really awkward edit because he hits it, the shower comes back on, and then it cuts to that swinging. It would have felt so much more natural to hit it, and as it's moving, to kind of go into the swinging.
Do you know what? I don't think there's actually a problem with the cut. I think it's because you're just fresh off of what was it we watched recently? There was a lot of cuts like that where it kept doing it with the motion.
I don't know, but
It was
it
something.
stood out to me.
It was in the last week. We watched something that had a lot of cuts like that, where it would like sort of cut mid motion and it would keep kind of
No, I remember talking about it,
yeah.
but
And
it's
I think as that's fresh in your head,
it
you're
might be.
you're expecting like a fancy cut where it does the motion, where in the actual fact it's
But
just a
I
normal
think
cut.
I think it was just where it was so obvious where you could see it, and it felt like it skipped a beat, like it had a beat
Yeah,
too
okay,
many.
okay. I know,
I
but
don't know.
it didn't stick out to me, but I get it. Like I get now you're saying it to me. I can see the expectation.
It's not awful. Don't get me wrong. Still works. It's just a tiny moment overall. But I'm just I got to criticize somewhere.
Okay, that's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Uh, so yeah, so Mike goes over to see Joyce and that he's because he's concerned about Will, and he's like, yeah, it's about the shadow monster, isn't it? And so things are all sort of coming together. We're getting all these things, all the big stuff's going down. Um, so what we've not talked about specifically is 11
Yeah.
and her plot in this episode. So, by the way, I loved the shot. She's because it's early on in the episode. She comes home to the cabin, and you just see Hopper in silhouette against the window, just in darkness. Really imposing shot, and he is pissed. And this scene actually got a lot more uncomfortable than I was kind of expecting it to, and not in a bad way necessarily, just in a kind of now this feels like a really genuine fight. Like they're both angry at each other, and it feels uncomfortable in that way that
Yeah.
if you're sitting around and two people are like. Like in this case, it's like a father daughter. If you're like, say you're Eleven's friend and you're over to stay over one night, and then she starts having this fight with her dad, like that's what it felt like. It felt really awkward and like, oh man, I don't want to be here for this.
Yeah. No, I get it. It's one of those where you get both sides because obviously Hopper's trying to be the responsible adult, and he's got to do what he's got to do.
Yeah, protecting her for all these agents who want to like kidnap her again. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, and he's like, well, if she broke the rules, she'll be punished. He's trying to discipline her so that she learns,
yeah.
like a good parent.
But he arguably goes too far. Starts throwing out the egos. No TV for months, and then he's like, no TV at all. He just yanks out the cable, breaking it. And she kind of goes a bit nuts. She like grabs the book with her telekinesis and throws it back at him, and it just hits him in the arm. It's not nothing big deal, but it's like, oh, that just escalated. Like he's not going to be happy about that.
And then it goes way too far.
Yep. Go on.
Well, she, goes into a room and slams the door, as we've seen, and then she explodes the house, essentially.
Well, the windows.
Well, all the windows.
Yeah.
But yeah. Where is like, it's just a big burst that goes outwards. It hits a bunch of stuff, not just the windows. Like
Sure.
all the living rooms trashed.
Yeah, but the point I'm saying is there's still a structure standing.
Okay, yeah, the walls are fine.
Yeah. And I love the moment after this though. So the scene before Hopper goes to see Will and Joyce, he goes over to the door and he's almost about to apologise, or at least put out an olive branch.
He's gonna give in.
He's going to give in at least to an extent and say, hey, about last night it went too far, blah. But he almost does it, and then he gets stern and says, no, this place better be clean, and maybe we'll talk about fixing the TV when I get back. Like
He kind of remembers he's got a discipliner. He can't just feel bad for doing it.
yeah. Well, it's funny you look at it that way, because I was actually almost looking at it as like he almost in a more negative light, where he almost was going to do the right thing and then just kind of couldn't commit to it at the last second.
Yeah, I see. This is the thing. I don't think it was the right. I think he was doing the right thing by disciplining
No,
because I think
that's the bit.
it's a child acting out, and you've got to punish them in some way.
That is absolutely completely.
It felt like he was like, oh, she feels bad, like it's like and he's going soft, and he's like, oh, I'll let her off, and then he kind of realizes that he can't let her off. He has to be stern.
that read makes sense to me. It does. I don't know, but part of me is kind of like the bond's not fixed though, kind of thing.
Oh
Um,
no, I don't think it is.
and I was just like I do think he went too far as well though, which is why I think he still kind of owes her some sort of an apology.
Okay.
You know, because he flew off the handle. He was screaming at her. He was like, you know,
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah. No, I'm with you.
like I do think he went too far, and that's why I thought he still kind of owes us something. The discipline still makes sense. Don't get me wrong, but
Yeah.
which to be fair, while he's away, she does like she for a while she's trying to fix the TV, and she's like, oh, fine, and she starts fixing things and putting the bookcase back up and sweeping and whatnot, which leads her to a door to a basement, or well, not even a basement, it's a storage space. It's not big enough to be like an actual basement, but and there's boxes of different things, and some of it's like from cases, some of it just seems to be like trinkets from certain periods of time or whatever. But there's one that's like it's the lab, it's the stuff that he has from the lab. And he starts looking through the case files. And we know like Hopper investigated some of this stuff last season. We saw him go and visit, the parent who claimed their kid was taken. Um, and she's like, oh, this woman, like her daughter was taken as a baby. Her name was Jane. And it's like, is she Jane? Is that what she's thinking? And she puts on the blindfold. She gets the radio for some static, and she goes into her psychic land, or whatever you want to call it.
A space.
Her space, and she finds who may very well be her mother, and the woman does say Jane, and then she like evaporates, like she disappears out of this, and it's like, wait, does the mother have some sort of power as well, and she can leave this place?
I read this a different way. I thought she has the power as well because she saw her and she could communicate.
Yeah, obviously, yeah.
But then her disappearing, I took away. I thought she died.
You think she died right there and then?
No, I think it was one of those like she's been hanging on to know that her daughter's all right sort of thing, and then she's like, right, okay,
oh, right, okay.
she's alive, and she kind of lets go almost.
I think we'll find out. I mean, if you're wrong, we'll find out at some point this season. I'm sure.
I could very well be wrong on that. It felt like super like that to me. It felt like a death.
To me, it felt like like when an adopted kid goes to visit their birth mother, and the birth mother can't like deal with it and just like tries to shut themselves away.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
It kind of felt like that to me, but or maybe something else but it felt like she did it, whatever it was to me.
Okay.
But
I get you. I can see it either way.
But no.
I think the moment afterwards is some of her best acting though.
Yeah, 11's it's really good stuff. The music's very good in this scene as well. It's very sad. It's very just very emotional, and you really feel it. No, it was very good. It was hitting me in the old heartstrings.
Yeah, it was.
So no, it was it was good. So yeah, that was pretty much all the main beats. We have Dart, who is now
Huge.
We'll say sort of big dog sized.
Yeah, he's a reasonable husky size.
Yeah. We have all the vines underneath the ground,
which I guess is what was I was talking about how it seemed to be spreading and moving rather than coming from the lab directly. So I guess that's what that is.
Yeah, although you imagine that's what the center is, though.
The center is but it seems to it doesn't seem to be moving in all directions. It's going in one way.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if I confirmed that one way or the other, but sure.
No, it seemed to be for now at least, from what I've gathered.
And then you got so you got that, and you've got the Jonathan Nancy. I've got their tape. I've got the sting operation in full motion. So we got a monster, we got vines, we got shadow monster visions, and we got all this stuff going on. So that's where we are. That's where we are. Going into the middle episode, because episode 5 is the middle one. So
I have to say I'm enjoying this a lot. It feels kind of slow to say that we're like going into the middle of the season, and we've kind of barely got kickstarted the plot.
I mean, I don't.
I'm not saying it's a criticism. I just think it's noticeably different to last year's, where
it is different to last year. Like we said, though, it's a little bit different coming back to the characters, and like we have new ones to introduce. We have these things now. Honestly, I feel like I can't really talk about what this is in terms of like is this a problem until I've seen the whole season.
No, that's fair.
I think it's too premature to actually discuss that now.
I'm not saying it's a problem yet. I'm just saying it's really noticeable even
And
now, where I'm going into halfway and I feel like I've barely started.
I'm not noticing it in the sense that I'm feeling like nothing's happening. I'm not. Not once have I felt like, oh, this is moving too slow.
No, no, that's I don't. I wouldn't say that either. It's just when I think about where I am in terms of the season, I go, huh.
Honestly, this is only an issue if the rest of it feels rushed.
Yeah, no, that's true.
But we still have 5 episodes left, so I
No,
like.
no, exactly. I'm not concerned.
It sounds like a concern.
No, no, I thought it was really like I was saying. It's something that I just noticed how. Okay, I'm halfway through. It doesn't feel like halfway at the minute. Like it just feels like I'm still near the start, which is okay. It's fine. Like, I'm waiting to go through it and see how it feels. So I'm not concerned, but it's just something I noticed.
Okay, okay. But there you go. That's episode 4 of Stranger Things season 2. So let us know what you thought of the episode in the comments below. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. Get us on Twitter at mild_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the channel, head over to patreon.com/milefuzztv. You can do that over there. But otherwise, that is us. So thank you once again for watching. Keep watching TV, guys. Have you got any vanilla?